Donald Trump, of course, has tried every possible option to end the shutdown. He's blamed Democrats. Not only, but also, not only is Trump not trying to negotiate an end to the shutdown, he's now using it as a way to squash things he doesn't like, touting his shutdown as an unprecedented opportunity to cut more Democratic priorities.
Hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power. We are fighting those same evils today. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do.
In addition to discrediting President Donald Trump, Jim Carrey and Stephen Colbert transform his administration into a movie. Catastrophe, so disorganized that it appears subtle on reality TV. Like an improv performer who has forgotten the script but refuses to leave the stage, Trump swagger through politics. Core's sarcasm is more incisive than the policy and illuminates the destruction with its craziness. Collectively, they reveal the presidency as comedy on fire rather than history in action. A spectacle that is already too crazy to ridicule.
Well, I tell you, folks, I definitely did not call this one, but evidently The Late Show has outlasted the United States federal government. We're still open, and they done shut down. But you know what? Maybe this is a good thing. You know, the government hasn't been working that great lately.
We have a president who started out when the country was together and had a wonderful leader, and he is tearing us limb from limb. Well, destroying every institution.
Let's talk about this Donald Trump, even though we don't want to. Let's bring it on the panel for this.
He's a car salesman. He's a used car salesman.
Absolutely.
And he's, you know, he didn't make America great again, but he did turn back the Obama.
Colbert begins the destruction by portraying the Trump administration as an ongoing farce that has run for too many seasons. He doesn't have to exaggerate at all. The content takes care of that for him. Every policy rollout seems like an unplanned sketch. Each press conference is like a live blooper reel, with theatrical pauses, hand gestures, and the assurance of a guy allergic to self-awareness. Trump enters the global arena as though it were his personal reality show. Colbert's brilliance is in transforming that spectacle into a terribly realistic parody. He portrays Trump as a performer engrossed in his own performance, someone who confuses cheers for success and mayhem for charm, rather than as a villain.
Government shutdown. This has happened many times before, even since we've been doing this show. There's a process that you follow. When a shutdown starts, people are what's called furloughed, okay? They don't come to work, they're not paid, but when the shutdown's over, everyone gets their job back, often with back pay. But now, Trump is threatening to use this excuse to fire a whole bunch more people from the federal government. Republicans must use this opportunity of Democrat forced closure to clear out.
Jim Carrey takes that concept and blows it away. His unbridled, physical humor is ideal for the human caricature that Trump has evolved into. He transforms every Trump tantrum into art and every outburst into performance. Carrey's imitation of the grandeur is revelation rather than imitation. In Carrey's hands, the president's body language, his constant desire for approval, and his fixation with optics all turn into hilarious material. The rubber-faced comedian seems to have discovered his ideal inspiration in a man who embodies exaggeration in every way. Satire doesn't have to be invented by Carrey. He simply presents reality more truthfully than the evening news.
Almost half of America at this moment believes there is a sinister deep state diabolically plotting to what? Give them health care? We in America are misinformed. Reality shows have warped our idea of what a hero is, or what the truth is.
Trump's presidency appears to have been scripted by chaos and edited by irony thanks to Core and Carrey's combined efforts. Since the jokes are grounded in reality, they are successful. If it can be characterized as such, Trump's leadership style falls somewhere between stand-up and standstill. Like a comedian riffing on an unintelligible audience, he improvises policy, transforming serious issues into one-liners and contradictions into lines of applause. Colbert deftly exposes this ridiculousness, showing how every new incident appears to be more like a botched improvisation than a calculated move. Exaggeration is not necessary for the humor. It creates itself.
Keep in mind, my friends, Republicans control all three branches of government, including both chambers of Congress, but somehow, none of this is their fault.
The Democrats should know that they put the White House and the president in this position. And if they don't want further harm on their constituents back home, then they need to reopen the government. It's very simple. Pass the clean continuing resolution, and all of this goes away.
Wow, that is weirdly threatening.
Kerry enhances that fire by demonstrating how Trump's irrationality is devoured by his personality. He is more of a brand that doesn't keep quiet than a leader. All of his public remarks serve as advertisements for his personal myth. Every inconsistency is promoted as assurance. Carr's chaotic style is similar to Trump's, but deliberate. Kerry turns it into a weapon when Trump falters into ridiculousness. He turns perplexity into a mirror that reflects the absurdity back at its source by using exaggeration not only for laughs, but also for clarity.
Jim Carrey takes on Donald Trump.
This whole thing has brought back my 8-year-old self. It's been a gift from God. It's like literally like brought me back to 8 years old where I used to sit in my room. Trump is toast. Yeah, man.
And so you just kind of digest the news of the
it's
day.
It's an affirmation.
Robert Mueller?
Robert Mueller putting the squeeze on the president. Just to relieve the stress. You know what I mean?
Collar explores the irony of Trump's self-perception. The president of the mistaking the Oval Office for a green room. The United States continues to behave like a guy auditioning for importance. How do core skewers work? Trump's fixation on ratings has made his policy pronouncements disastrous. Every new project seems more like a season-long marketing campaign than a governance initiative. The president has a straightforward plan. At all costs, keep the cameras going. Colbert is not required to make jokes. They are written by the administration every day. By 2025, the Trump administration has evolved into a survival tactic as much as a show. Due to the incessant demonstrations and broadcast arguments, the nation has come to rely on entertainment to rule. Colbert makes fun of how these days, political briefings are more like late-night monologues, complete with moral ambiguity and applaud breaks. He portrays the bizarre idea of a president handling crises like callbacks and diplomacy like improv. The distinction between politics and parody has disappeared, and Colbert is standing atop the wreckage, giggling at how voluntarily the crowd continues to applaud.
Not everything gets defunded in a shutdown. For instance, Trump's military deployments to major cities will continue, as will his immigration crackdowns and deportations. Come on, why are we keeping only the unpopular parts of government? You don't see Disney launching a new Star Wars spin-off, Baby Jar Jar? The Trump administration is using some taxpayer-funded government websites to push their own political messaging, which many are saying is illegal.
That idea is taken by Jim Carrey and painted. Literally. His frequently fiery and uncensored artwork uses almost prophetic brushstrokes to convey the craziness of Trump's America. His portrayals of ego, power, and delusion seem to be pictorial representations of what Colbert says. Carr's art is emotive, and his comedy is physical. Yet they both come to the same conclusion. The first president to make ridiculousness into an ideology is Trump. Every meltdown turns into a show. All contradictions lead to content. The man is not in charge. With the assurance of a performer who has never heard the word cut, he improvises history. Collar thrives on these inconsistencies. He analyzes Trump's policies in terms of punchlines, demonstrating how deflection takes the place of strategy and slogans take the place of answers. He makes fun of the way the administration spins every blunder, as brilliance, each setback as a covert triumph. Trump's supporters handle. Consistency is a weakness. Colbert also draws attention to how ridiculous everything is. The way accountability evaporates in a claim, truth folds beneath branding, and facts bend to ego. He uses comedy to transform misunderstanding into understanding, demonstrating that laughter may be more incisive than indignation. Carey gives that realization more vigor. His derision is cosmic rather than merely external. He portrays Trump as a figure who chose to rule the globe after unintentionally escaping a sketch. Carr does not consider Trump's administration to be a tragedy. It's a nationwide stage production of slapstick. No political analyst could uncover the truth that his exaggerations expose. That everyone's inability to distinguish between reality and satire is the president's greatest accomplishment. Carey doesn't to insult is to mock. To remind us, he makes fun of it. He transforms authority into performance art, demonstrating that absurdity not only reveals truth, but also magnifies it.
You want to see something interesting? Everybody is saying, well, not everybody's saying. I sound like Trump now. Everybody's saying. Everybody's saying. The guy down here saying. There's a guy under here saying it. The voices in my head are saying.
Yeah, people are saying. That's his thing. People are
I've been on the receiving end of one of the tantrums. I met with him twice. And
what'd you do?
Well, I told him no 3 times to his face. He took it well the first time. It was the second and third times he didn't take it so well.
Right.
Over the health care issue, when I tried to explain to him what I thought were problems with the bill and Medicaid and exchanges and Planned Parenthood, and the second time I told him, he said, "Well, are you?" I told him I was opposed to the bill, and he said, "Why?" I said, "This was on a Thursday." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, for the same reasons I told you on Tuesday, 2 days before." And then I went through the issues, and he cut me off, and he said, "You're going to destroy the Republican Party. I'm going to blame you. It's your fault. The tax reform is going to go down." And it just
you're going to destroy the Republican Party because he couldn't remember what you said on Tuesday.
No, because I wasn't voting for the health care bill. He said he was going to take down tax reform. I finally interrupted him after about it seemed like going on forever. This was in the cabinet room, getting laid into here. I said, "Mr. President, you telling me that this?"
You said, "Mr. President"?
Yeah, of course. I respect the office.
The cooperation of Carr's chaos and Calabar's intelligence creates the ideal storm of humor. The reasoning comes from Collar. Carey provides the lack of clarity. And collectively, they destroy Trump's mythology. They don't come at him angrily. They chuckle as they tear him apart. The effortlessness of their devastation is what makes it so beautiful. When Trump is exposed to humor that doesn't falter, his contradictions crumble under their own weight. Collar focuses specifically on the president's fixation on legacy. He depicts him as a man who, in an attempt to immortalize his reflection, erects monuments out of mirrors. Every speech turns into a self-congratulatory exercise. Every rally serves as a therapy session for his fears. The tragedy that America's highest office has turned into a stage for a single man's continuous tryout is something Colbert finds humorous. His sarcasm cuts right through the bluster, exposing the same frail ego that used to be fixated on television numbers. Carey transforms that vulnerability into a spectacle. Trump's leadership style is reimagined by him as slapstick without timing, a comedic routine in which the performer doesn't want to leave the stage, but the punchlines never land. His humor reveals the hollowness behind the assurance and the desperation behind the swagger. Carr's genius lies in his ability to capture the ridiculousness so fully that it becomes awkward to laugh. By turning ridicule into a mirror, he compels the audience to witness the absurdity they have accepted.
Generals, meet Captain Cankles. Here from a true paragon of masculine fitness, Donald Trump. That shamble up to the mic was about as high as his energy got for the whole day. The president is so anti-woke, he's barely conscious. Trump didn't love the crowd.
I've never walked into a room so silent before.
That's the tradition. They're supposed to be nonpartisan.
As the year progresses, the Trump administration is still. Supply a never-ending flow of content. At the most chaotic comedy club in the world, every day feels like an open mic night due to rash judgments and contradictory policies. Core creates gags that pass for journalism while he looks on in shock. He makes fun of the way Trump gauges success based on responses rather than outcomes. The president welcomes social media activity as if it were foreign policy, despite the economy's volatility and a lying strain. Calabar's sense of comedy thrives on such misaligned emphasis. He doesn't have to create satire from scratch. All he needs to do is report it in a rhythmic manner. Carey capitalizes on that enthusiasm by transforming every fresh scandal into a theatrical production. The distinction between parody and performance art is blurred in his performances. He channels the spirit of disorder in order to reveal the spirit of denial. Carey twists Trump's attempts to place the responsibility for his shortcomings onto others. Exaggerated facial expressions and grand gestures are all indicative of a leader who is allergic to accountability. It's truth as spectacle, art as commentary, and humor as diagnosis. There is an implicit understanding between Calabar and Carey. Trump does not have political power. Theatrical. He manipulates the story with volume rather than truth. No matter how harmful, every incident serves as a backdrop for the never-ending self-promotional production. Colbert uses irony to reveal it. Carey uses exaggeration to destroy it. When combined, they dispel the appearance of grandeur and expose the underlying craziness.
Generals, meet Captain Cankles. Here from a true paragon of masculine fitness, Donald Trump. That shamble up to the mic was about as high as his energy got for the whole day. The president is so anti-woke, he's barely conscious. Trump didn't love the crowd.
I've never walked into a room so silent before.
That's the tradition. They're supposed to be nonpartisan and sit there stone-faced. It's like doing stand-up for Easter Island heads.
If you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room.
Roger that.
Collar delves further into Trump's connections with both his supporters and opponents, highlighting how, during his presidency, diplomacy has devolved into a game of who can cheer louder in the classroom. Every summit turns into a relevant audition, and every meeting into a contest for camera angles. Colbert makes fun of the president's notion of global leadership, saying it is more like reality TV than strategy. His criticisms are incisive because they are grounded in reality. Visionary leadership has been supplanted by attention span leadership. Carey uses his outrageous physical humor to interpret it. He presents Trump as a cartoon emperor who thinks that cheers are armor, charging through mayhem. Every policy discussion devolves into a tirade of hyperbole. Every controversy is a scene from an endless sketch. The mayhem in the car is captured. Words cannot. A president that views consequences as optional is utterly unrealistic. He makes the audience realize the ridiculousness by embodying it. Colbert makes fun of the administration's vocabulary, including its incessant slogans, catchphrases, and purposeful ambiguity. Like a linguist studying a foreign dialect, he dissects it. It sounds as though a committee of contradictions wrote each of the statements he highlights. His jokes provoke thought in addition to laughter. He turns absurdity into responsibility and perplexity into commentary.
Ted Cruz also weighed in to say how fun he thinks it is that only Democrats would be affected.
President Trump is going to use that as an opportunity not to tell people you're furloughed for a few days, but instead to send pink slips and to get rid of left-wing bureaucrats who are imposing left-wing priorities that are contrary to President Trump's priorities.
Yes, we need to get rid of people who are contrary to President Trump's priorities.
Carey, on the other hand, becomes quite visual. He draws, paints, and executes there. Disorder, transforming each speech into fantastical art. His portrayals go beyond simple parodies. They are X-rays of emotions. Exaggerated smiles, vacant eyes, and self-congratulatory stances are all manifestations of the psychology of power that is unfounded in principle. Carr's comedy reveals that it doesn't attack. He demonstrates how the normalization of Trump's actions, rather than his actions themselves, is the real joke. Collectively, they reveal how the definition of leadership has changed during Trump's administration. Colbert exposes the flaw with a sophisticated sense of humor. Carey makes fun of it with boundless enthusiasm. They are the ideal complement to one another. Both are devastating, one intuitive, one rational. Their favorite target is Trump's assumption that everything he does is historic. Colbert interprets it as a delusion. It is depicted by Carey as performance art. The outcome is so rich and humorous that it almost feels cathartic. On the other hand, their destruction was brilliant. Colbert's sense of humor seems to reflect the ridiculousness. It's like a hammer slamming through a car. The result of Coller's analysis and Carey's dramatization is complete dissection. Beneath their laughing, Trump's meticulously constructed persona of invincibility collapses. Because his presidency is based on spectacle, he cannot tolerate to lose to two men who are more knowledgeable about theater than he is. Collar closes his evening parts with fatigue disguised as laughter rather than rage. Outrage has become monotonous, which makes him laugh. He is aware that instability is what makes Trump strong. Thus, he employs humor to disperse it. He uses more than just punchlines in his jokes. They serve as pressure valves for a tense country. Carey then uses that annoyance as fuel for her writing. Through the chaos, he laughs, paints, and performs, transforming a group's skepticism into inspiration.
This week, what I kept thinking was, it all comes down to this case of narcissistic personality disorder. We've all talked about it since you've been on the public scene. But we see it in real time. Somebody really unraveling, spiraling toward madness.
So I'm an asshole? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. We're talking
you're not talking. You're talking.
Their cumulative impact is disastrous. The president, who formerly prospered from, once in control of the news cycle, he is now reduced to its joke. Carr's insanity magnifies his shortcomings to legendary levels, while Colbert's intelligence analyzes every action he takes. It's exposure, not hatred. The weapon that destroys the appearance of authority is humor. Colber notes how this period will be remembered by history. It will be an experiment to see how long performance can take the place of policy, not a time of strength or vision. According to Colber, Trump's biggest contribution may be demonstrating that charisma alone isn't a sufficient substitute for leadership. It is theater without a plan. His humor is laced with laughter and the weight of prophecy. Carey ends the show without saying anything, but with pictures. He envisions this bizarre presidency's climactic event, As the ovation fades and the stage lights dim, Trump remains standing there, certain that the performance is far from over. For a leader who is unable to differentiate between performance and reality, it is the ideal metaphor. The performer doesn't want to go even after the curtain comes down. As Core and Carey complete their demolition, there is more than just laughter. There is discovery. Once a display of defiance, Trump's administration has turned into a warning about unbridled ego. Carr's ridiculousness and Colbert's sarcasm came together to create a truth that was more incisive than rage. The loudest does not get rewarded in history. It has the best memory, not because they made fun of him, but because they demonstrated to the world what happens when leadership turns into truth and amusement become optional. Additionally, the audience exhales rather than cheers as the political comedy's symbolic lights go out. The lingering laughing is a result of relief rather than amusement. In addition to destroying Trump, Colbert and Carey freed reality from his charade. As usual, history will be the last to laugh. And instead of acclaim, it's written in irony this time.